This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by I Used to Be a Magical Girl, available on designsbysaka.com.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I am here with my long-suffering co-host, Justin Curry. Not only has he suffered with me on this podcast, but, dear listener, you should know, he had to suffer with me in a B&B in Montreal, these many days. So we've had 1 day apart, two.
Yeah.
2 days
A
apart.
travel day doesn't really count, so
That's
really
true.
only 1 day.
Only 1 day apart. And then we'll be back in the swing of things at Icon this weekend. Now, one of the things we did in order to ameliorate the fact that we are no longer getting along is we brought a guest onto the show. Steph, known the world over, or at the very least,
The province over.
the province over, right? As Saka, or as Designs by Saka,
Yes.
is here in studio. Why don't you tell us about your new graphic novel
Yes,
project?
I have a new graphic novel out. It is called I Used to Be a Magical Girl, and it is like a cross between Sailor Moon and Girls Five Eva, if you've watched that. Who hasn't watched that? And it's about a woman named Akiko who was a magical girl in the 90s, and now she has to face the enemy again, and she's 40, and she's really tired from work.
Oh my
Which
goodness.
I relate to, so that's why I wrote it.
So there's this. What I find interesting about this, because I haven't seen the book until in my hands, and I haven't
Until
heard
I
the
just
pitch.
showed up here.
Although when you texted us about it, and there's two things that really stood out. Number one, when you gave us that elevator pitch in the text, I was like, oh, I wonder if Samantha Biko's heard of this, and we'll get into how much she's heard of this in a minute because she's a big Sailor Moon fan. But then, as you say, that there's been a trend lately in graphic novels of like the working class hero element of like, oh, you're a superhero, but you also gotta pay the bills, get the mortgage done, and like manage your apartment. And man, I don't know if I have any time left to do right. So
Right.
this like kind of fits into that expression, or at least into that. But the magical girl vibe, like imagine Sailor Moon. It's like just tired after work.
Yeah.
She's not a billionaire with a butler.
Yeah.
No.
She's got to go to school.
Yeah. That's me.
Yeah.
I was once Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Now I have to go to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us about this project as far as why comics? Why did you...
Yeah.
Like a graphic novel is not a
That's not a
endeavor
first
one
step.
takes lightly. Yeah.
So
No.
can we go back a bit further and like
Yeah.
your introduction into art as not just a hobby, but something that you wanted to take a bit further?
Yeah. So I started doing art, I think similarly, probably to you, where we watched like anime on YTV. I would pause the TV and try to copy like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z characters.
Hold on, pause the TV. What do you mean?
Back.
VHS.
VHS.
Oh,
you had
Sorry,
those
not
bands
pause
of
the TV.
static.
Yes,
Yeah.
the static, the taped episodes off of YTV, the Zone,
Yes.
similar to Toonami.
It's funny, you know what I used to try to pause to draw from? It was called Galaxy Rangers. It was like an old anime style. It was like Western vibes, but like anime animation sensibilities. It was called Galaxy Rangers, and it blew my mind. And some of that team went on to do Thundercats, and some of that team, as far as I know, also went on to work for Studio Ghibli. So like, there's this,
Oh, there you go.
right?
Yeah.
But pausing the
Very cool.
TV to draw
Pausing
from it.
the VHS with the static
Yeah.
lines, then it's
I
like,
feel it
oh,
deeply,
God.
but you're recording
Yeah.
it yourself, so it's like kind of
Yeah.
crappy. And
Yeah.
then you're watching your crappy recording.
Yeah, or like the Sailor Moon trading cards and Pokemon trading cards. Like I would look at those and try and draw a little like Charmander. Or
You had the
Pikachu.
Spawn.
Yeah, they're
There you
in
go.
the trophy case over there. I have Spawn trading cards that I would
Nice.
draw from.
Okay,
Nice.
so hold on.
Yeah.
Let's just pause for a minute, everybody, and talk about the way that media is influencing us in those formative years. But it's not the story itself. You know, like it wasn't that the Galaxy Rangers like deep plot resonated with my soul. I would just see an image that I couldn't get out of my head, and I wanted to understand how it was made, and so I would pause it and try to make it myself to like better
Yeah.
understand it. And these cards, you know, like we're seeing, what is it about that stuff, do you think, that hits us so hard when we're young?
I think for me, like I had these Spawn trading cards, but I didn't have access to like
You
any
never
of the
read the
comics.
comic.
I
I know
never
that
read the
story.
comics. I
Mhm.
just had the trading cards. So it was the implied narrative that my mind would run away with these, like they were just covers. They were covers. So I would just try to imagine everything that happened around this image. Like, how did we get here? What would happen after? Is this a good guy, bad guy? What's going on here? So I think like looking at these really striking images got my storytelling brain rolling, and that's what I really liked. And so, and then also like just looking at, you know, going from kind of just above stick figures to the epitome of really cool art. Look at all those chains. Look at all those buckles. Look at
Look
that
at all those
cape.
creases.
Yeah.
all
I
those-
want to be able to
Yeah.
do that. And how
Yeah.
do you do that other than trying to emulate it and
Mhm.
over and over and over again until
Now the challenge with Spawn is to balance the mark making. Like if you're trying to copy Todd McFarlane, it's about how many lines can I put on it before it stops making any sense. But with anime, there's an economy of line. Like when you're
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to do
Yeah.
manga, it's so different.
I felt like it had to look perfect.
Yeah.
And that was part of copying. Like the Sailor Moon cards was a huge thing when I was 10 or 11. And the other element to them is that storytelling, because we would have cards of characters that we didn't have the episodes here yet, because YTV had like 65 episodes, and there was like Sailor Neptune, Sailor Uranus, Sailor Saturn that we didn't have here. So we would have the cards,
Wait.
but
Hold
you
on.
wouldn't know. I know.
Take me down the deep lore. So, like I'm familiar with the way that Power Rangers is its own other thing, and we only got like a clip of it
Right.
that was like folded into a Western idea.
Yep.
Sailor Moon and Robotech, they did the same thing, right? They like cut it, truncated it, edited it down for Western. So Sailor Moon
Yeah.
also, it has a much bigger lore than I'm
I
aware
mean,
of.
it does. They did more of a straight up dub,
Yeah,
but they dubbed the first season and half of the second season, because the order was like 65 episodes is what you got. So they straight up dubbed it. But we would get the cards imported from Japan, and Japan was obviously further along than we were. So there'd be characters on it that hadn't made it here yet.
they're just skipping ahead. But at least
Yeah,
they weren't
yeah.
like re-editing it like the shows that you were
Yeah,
referencing,
yeah.
because they made something completely bastardized from like
Yeah.
the original. Sailor Moon, I think, tried to
They
keep it.
tried. There
Who
was a whole
knows?
cousins thing later on. But
Okay, let's
yeah.
imagine that the dear listener does not know anything about Sailor Moon or even the archetype idea of the magical girl genre. If you
Yeah.
were going to tell a person about it as briefly and as like focused as you can, how would you sum up the magical girl genre?
It's typical teenage girl or preteen girl gets superpowers from some sort of fluffy, cute
Mascot.
pet. Mascot's a good word. And
Cuteness is like
cuteness is
an
like
essential element.
yes, cute, pink, frilly. It is basically cute. Schoolgirls get superpowers and then have to reckon with it within their daily life, which is a big chunk of Sailor Moon, right?
I always think of Card
Captor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Card Captor.
Yep.
That was a fun one.
Similar
Before or
to
after?
that.
Similar?
It came
Card
after.
Captor
That was
wasn't, but
after.
Card
Yeah.
Captor, that was a Pokemon vibe.
That was there was a bit of a collection type
Yeah.
thing, like
Yeah.
collect the cards, the magical cards.
She had a different outfit every episode. That's different from Sailor Moon, where she had a new outfit and that kind of went along with whatever card she was trying to capture that day.
And so all of this was like, so many of these shows and franchises were about getting us to spend real money on tiny cardboard rectangles. Like that card, the 90s was about
Oh yeah.
trading cards, collectible cards, whatever. It's still very much alive
Now-
today, but it was in its nascent, newly addictive form.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure this is like a rabbit hole to go down, but was that like a reaction to like the baseball card phenomenon that came before?
Oh yeah, definitely we could do a whole show with this. I have to imagine that must be true.
Like the card collection, realm, right?
Yeah.
Like did Did it start in Japan and then America kind of copied it? Or America started up with baseball cards and Japan kind of saw?
Well, if I'm going
Let's
to
bring
creak
it to
on
the
my soap
teenagers.
for a minute, if someone has figured out how to sell tiny pieces of paper to someone for real money, just because there's pictures of something on it, someone else in another room is like, what other pictures of things can we
Right.
put on these? Right? Yeah, so I'm sure. I mean, it's still very much alive today. We basically sell giant trading cards that are our 12 by 18 prints are, what are they, except trading cards.
It's true.
Right?
We signed them at least.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because you're the MVP. So
That's
you
right,
sign
yeah.
your own card. Yeah.
So,
Okay, so Magical Girls.
Yep.
It's a trope specific.
For sure.
There are guidelines like science fiction has space opera, which is
Yep.
very different than from hard science fiction. There are like very specific rules you have to follow. So there are rules in the magical girl genre. Did you follow them all in your I Used to Be a Magical Girl? Is it a parody? Is it a
It's a
subversion?
little bit parody. It's a little bit of a version. I mean, the big elaborate transformation sequence is certainly a thing in Magical Girl, right? Where they
Yeah.
shout something and then that's where they turn from their real life, so to speak, to their Magical Girl outfit. And it's elaborate. There's a lot of ribbons and glitter and music and
really helps with the
Yeah.
runtime of the show. As
uh-huh.
well. It's
Yeah,
like-
that reused
yeah.
animation. Yeah.
I had toyed around with. I have this project called Doom Pilots, and it has a kind of like that Togu vibe, that Power Rangers vibe, where like people. There's the same thing. There's the transition where they power up and their armor flies onto them, or whatever.
Yep.
And I toyed around with the idea of doing a transformation sequence that repeats a number of times, like it used to in the episodes, but it's just the same pages, like a 3-page transformation when they transform.
But it just keeps happening.
Because that recycled animation is like part of the trope of the show also, right? You're going to see them no matter where they were standing, they suddenly are on a black background or a white background and light beams around and the stuff swirls and then they have their outfit, some pink flashes and
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
dear
A little
listener, what
giggle.
we're referring to is animation is expensive. So, a lot of older shows will reuse sequences from other episodes, and they'll reuse them. In probably like one of the most famous ones that I can think of is the Spider-Man swinging scene.
oh yeah.
If you watch any old Spider-Man, a good chunk of every episode is the exact same sequence of him swinging across the city,
Yeah.
and they did it to
And that's
not have to
60s.
animate nearly as much in every episode.
Trillium did that, and they also did the Rocket Robin Hood.
Oh, that one's
Yeah.
really guilty for it as well.
Really guilty of it, but at least they put a song on there. So Rocket Robin Hood's repeated animations were
Usually
a
Spider-Man
collection of
is
songs.
like doing some narration of I have to go find Mysterio
That's right.
while he's swinging there. So they try to make it not too blatant.
Yeah. Now,
Once
so
you see it, you can't
the
unsee
big transformation,
Yes.
right? We interrupt you because we got super nostalgic there for old cartoons, so I
Okay.
apologize, dear guest and dear listener. The Magical Girl transformation, present.
Mm-hmm.
The cute fluffy thing,
Well, the cute fluffy thing is there, but is a little different. So I imported like another 90s nostalgia thing, which was a Tamagotchi. So her
Yes.
familiar is a little digital pet.
that's amazing. Okay, so it takes place, that was my next question. The 40 years after takes us to the present day?
Yes, yeah, it's from the 90s, so it's 30 years later, which
Okay.
I'm sorry to remind you of that.
Yes.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. No, I can find. I like the indelible march of time. It's
Yeah.
gonna get us all. Tell us about the process of drawing it, the process of writing it, the process of folding in
Or
those
like
tropes.
your kind of artistic career building up to the graphic, because this is your first graphic novel.
Yes. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my first full-length graphic
it's a
novel.
big
yeah.
step. So I like to hear
Uh-huh.
about like what led to this book.
Yep.
What he really means is, how dare you?
Yes. Well, it kind of, I mean, it comes from you guys here. How dare I not try, which is like my mantra when doing this. Because, I mean, it's 52 pages. That was a lot. But no, I started off kind of doing art. It's funny. I was doing art, drawing it from YTV. When I was in high school, I was like, my career is that I'm going to draw manga and I'm going to move to Japan and be a manga artist. As I'm sure many people have heard, that's not a career. So, you know, with capital
That's what other
letters.
people told
Other
you.
people told me.
Right.
So I pivoted. I went to computer science, and I sort of forgot about art for a little while. And then I think in 2017 or 2018, it's funny. My friends and I were going to go to concerts And we were looking at buying some enamel pins online to go with the concerts, and lots of fan-made ones. And we liked One Direction. There was lots for Harry Styles. There were not a lot for the other boys. And I was like, well, I used to like to draw. I could probably like whip up a couple of them and order them, and then we would have them for the shows, and that's it. For enamel pins, as I think you know, you order 100 of them.
Yeah,
You
there's a
can't just
minimum
order
order.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
so
they
I
have to
thought-
make an actual like
Right.
molten metal mold,
Right.
And so they don't want to just make one from that mold, right? Like it's
right,
doesn't
or they
make
can.
sense.
But it's expensive, so
Right.
you might as well just buy 100 of
it's
them.
true. Yeah.
Yep. So I thought, okay, well, I guess I could make a few, buy 100 of each design, and then sell them and make my cost back. And here I am.
But where are you gonna sell them?
Right. I sold them. So I made an Instagram. I made an Etsy page, sold them there. Then I thought, oh, I'll sell them at conventions. I used to like to go to Icon. I could go to Icon.
I'm fascinated by the notion that One Direction
Uh-huh.
sent you in a few directions, but
Uh-huh.
also I just want to make a thing for me and my friends
Yes.
that is absent from the stuff we want. It's kind of like what we were talking about. Like you're looking for that thing that validates your fandom, and it doesn't exist.
Right.
So then I'll just make it myself. I love that so much. Number
Pretty
one.
much.
And then it's like, oh, I'd have to manufacture 100 of these. Most people would. That'd be the end. I guess that's not a good idea. I don't need 100 of them.
Yeah.
And you instead were like, oh, well, if I had 100 of them, what would I do with them? And that sent you down a whole trail.
Yeah. It is a character flaw and
Is it,
character
though?
trait of me that
A
I just
trait,
can't
maybe.
stop.
Let's just identify it as a trait. I haven't seen it cause any harm to anyone yet.
Yeah.
Right.
So, no, I just kind of went down that rabbit hole. And after I did those initial 4, people, like those 4 designs, people seemed to like them. So I did more and more. And then you end up in the rabbit hole of going to conventions and flying to Toronto. And then, enamel pins becomes not enough. So I drew little charms. Not enough, right? You can't get as much detail. So started drawing little charms. And then I kind of went back to, I think I went to Prairie Comics Festival 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, I remember when I used to want to draw comics. I should probably start that up again.
I'm so bored. I don't have any money for shopping or the movies.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Hey, Luna, why are you hanging out with us? Where's Serena?
Oh, that's Serena. She went over to the temple to bum some more comic books off of Ray again.
Amy's studying, Ray's working, everyone's busy but us.
I was gonna ask you about your Etsy experience and then convention experience and like tabling and how that's evolved.
My Etsy experience could be a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Me
Juicy.
and them are not friends.
I hear that more and more.
Yeah, I do hear
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole thing with that.
The
We won't
bigger
get
a
into
platform
that.
grows, the
But,
less it cares about how it got there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. So there's that. So I did start on Etsy. I still have a few things on Etsy, but I really don't push it as much as I push my website. And I've really tried to focus on conventions and going to shows, and not just locally, but I did Toronto, I did Regina, I was in Calgary a couple months ago. So really trying to up that in-person interaction with people and meet other artists and that sort of thing. So yes, tabling at conventions is the most fun part of this, for sure. I mean, I also, obviously, I enjoy the artwork and the process of it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't, but yeah, the conventions is definitely, that's the fun part, for sure, I think.
What was the first experience for you to take your drawn image, digital or traditional, however you did it? Eventually you had to upload it and then wait for a physical object with your artwork on it to arrive. When you first opened that box and you took that out, tell me about that.
It was cool. Yeah, I just drew these little designs and then did a thing on Alibaba to try and figure out enamel pins and get a manufacturer and work with them. But yeah, when the box came to our house and I opened it, I wasn't sure what to expect, if they would look anything. Like, I didn't really know what to expect, right? But when I opened it and they looked pretty much exactly like the digital image I drew in Photoshop, yeah, that was cool. It was really cool. And that's probably what ignited in me to like, oh, I'm gonna this is not the end of this. I'm going to do more of these. You're already thinking like, what's the next design? What's the next thing I could do? So,
Which I think is very healthy. If you're an artist and you finish a thing and you have no desire to move on to the next thing, you're doomed to fail.
Whoa. That's some harsh words. Dear listeners, the opinions expressed by Justin Curry are not shared by all members of the podcast.
Okay, well, let's ignore that portion. But I just think that like that never-ending hunger of like, as you know, like I'm having so much fun building this. I can't wait till it's finished. Oh my God, this finished. This is great. And then, ooh, what's the next shiny thing? Oh, I can't wait to work on that. I can't wait to finish that.
Yeah,
and
that
like
drives
that
me.
never-ending.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rather than talking about the failure that you want. Right? I used to be a magical girl.
yes.
Has in its title an essential conceit. I'm not a magical girl anymore.
Right.
Right? So tell me about that story element. Like what is like that seems to be what we're
Yeah.
promised to explore, right?
Yeah. I guess I mean, I'm at a place in my life where I'm almost 40 and now I've gone back and started exploring things that I once loved, you know, drawing Sailor Moon fan art, things like that. So as I was thinking, what could I do for my first graphic novel? I thought, oh, maybe let's explore that. Let's think about what happens to the magical girls when they grow up and, you know, thinking about what would have happened if, you know, Usagi had grown up and instead of become like queen of the whole universe, as those who have watched the show know she does. Instead, she actually had to, you know, grow up and maybe go to university and get a job and then, oh, I have to be Sailor Moon again. So this is sort of exploring similar to that.
Because I just found this is a panel, dear listener, I'm flipping through the book. It's a panel out of context. But it's a pretty dark revelation. The previous page is a full page, is 2-page sort of splash of the transformation. Right? So it's all bright and beautiful.
That has to take up a lot
and
of
there's
space.
a big like a pixel Tamagotchi vibe heart behind her, and there's like a smile, and it's like, oh, I've achieved. And then the very next panel is a frown, and the character says, I resent the idea that I'm happy about this the transformation forces me to smile.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right? And the little
It's
Tamagotchi
dark.
thing on her is like a little character is like, wow, it's supposed to give you positive energy. Like,
Yeah.
like just smile and everything's gonna be okay,
Yeah,
little girl.
yeah, yeah.
Is like that's pretty
I
dark.
mean, I think that's something that most, if not all, women have probably experienced in girlhood, and then even up to, you know,
Yeah, why don't you smile
40s,
more?
Smile more. Yeah,
Oh.
everything's gonna be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk process for a little bit?
Yeah.
Just from like writing, did you do thumbnails, storyboards,
Yep.
to like final, like walk us through.
Yeah,
How that
I
all
did. I did a script
Yeah.
first. I did the script in tandem with trying to figure out where the page breaks would be. So I wrote like page 1, you know, dialogue here, page 2, dialogue here, and then any notes on if there was a scene change. So did that.
She did a full script first.
Yep. Yep. And then I went and did thumbnails just to sort of lay out my pages.
Can I, before we jump
Yep.
into the script part,
Yep.
did you do script first? This is a non-scientific study that I am undertaking with people who have been doing comics, who have or are breaking into comics or developing their comics,
Yeah.
that are artists but do scripts. What they usually, I find, they are doing that script work on their breaks or the between moments at work because no one is the wiser. Did some of this development, did you do scripts first because you could think about it at work, jot the idea down, and it wasn't really a big deal, or was?
Maybe I did a little of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a planner. Like project management is my day job.
Right.
So I thought, okay, well, if I need to know what I'm going to draw, I should probably take it one step back and script it out first. So it was more the bare bones of it. If you're doing a software project, you come up with requirements first, at least a high level of it, and then you go into development. So I just sort of applied my knowledge of the software development lifecycle to my making comics. And that's, you know, I need to know what my back end is going to be first, which is a story, before going into front end, which is art development.
So did you decide the page count?
Yes, I originally had it at a 26 I think 24, 26 page count. And then I met with, I wrote his name down, Chris Staros. You guys probably know him.
Staros. Yeah, we know Staros. Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. So I just booked a session with him and he looked at it and he said, it's so quick. The story moves so quick. It has to be bigger. So I thought, okay, well, I was going to try and do something smaller for my first one, but I guess it has necessitated that it has to be larger. So yeah.
Interestingly, too, that you need 48 pages to qualify as a book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like to be a book and to have an ISBN assigned to you, it has to be at least 48 pages. So otherwise it's a periodical. So there's another sort of benefit to your story being 52 pages. If you find that this run works at shows and someone is interested in it, there's less of an issue of them saying, oh, can you expand it?
Oh, perfect. See, I didn't even know that.
So
you learn something every day.
You accidentally succeeded.
Apparently. Yeah. It's kind of the story of my life.
So how did you hear about Star? So why don't you tell people about who that is? And
he's a comics editor, and I do not remember.
At Top Shelf.
Top Shelf. Okay. Yeah, but I was trying to figure out how I would do this, so I just sort of typed into Google how to make a graphic novel. Comics mentoring, I think is what I Googled. And his name came up because he does all these mentorship. You pay for an hour or 2 hours and you chat with him about your project.
Yeah, and he's succeeded and failed in so many different ways in the comic book space that it's really good. Worked with Alan Moore. He's worked with, there's a list as long as my arm.
He was amazing. He was super friendly and he really helped me out and gave me a lot of tips and tricks and... he looked over the script. I think I had script and pencils when I went to him and he looked over it and I said, how do I make this? How do I, is this good? How do I make this story make more sense? Does it actually make any sense? And that's when he said, I think you need to expand it.
There's a fair amount of bravery that goes into, I think, sharing your work with a industry professional and expecting legitimate feedback.
Yeah. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
But also I felt like, well, do I want to just, do this and think, oh, it's great, and then send it to a printer, which is not cheap, and then try and sell it at my table, and if it's not good, then I'm not going to make the money back. And also I want to if I'm putting my name to this and putting it on my table, I want it to be good, and with that comes some honest feedback that, So, it was terrifying, but also I think it was necessary and it helped. It did help.
When you're doing IT development, what is that feedback? Is this the reason I'm asking is I'm trying to figure out is because you've mentioned a couple of times now that your natural inclination to be very organized led you to be a project manager in IT, has led you to plan ahead. I don't often find, though, that leads people to accept criticism openly.
But you have to test your software before you ship it live.
Yeah, so that is how you look at it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's got to go to QA. I can't just ship it live. It's like when I had lettered it and everything, and shout out to Lyndon for answering all my questions. Every time he saw me coming at a convention, he was probably like, oh, God, this girl's got questions.
No, the opposite. We would have heard about it. Yeah. Occasionally, the people that we want to steer clear of, we share. Like, hey,
okay.
Your name has never come up as avoid this person. So
well, that's good to know.
So then you divide 6 people into 48 to determine each share.
You're so smart. We should be study buddies all the time. Ooh.
So you need to test your software before you ship it, because you don't want to ship something out that's got a major bug and it doesn't work, because that's going to be worse than somebody saying, oh, this doesn't work. So I just sort of applied that same logic. I wanted people to look at it and make sure it was good, and
I think it's that easier route to just put on your blinders and hope that everything's okay, and not get that test audience or that editor or the whatever, and just just stay in your own little world, safe, and just print it and be done with it, and not open yourself up to criticism and change.
Yeah,
and it's tough.
I felt like what would have been worse is if it was at my table and it was bad, and either people just walked by and didn't say anything, or which I think, was likely if it was not great. But also sometimes there's people, as I'm sure you know, at conventions who don't have a filter, and I didn't want someone to look at it and be like, this is garbage.
Even people with a filter
which it might still happen. But
I don't mean to dissuade your your preparation, but there is someone
I know.
out there who will hate this.
Yep, for sure.
Right? Because there's someone out there who will love it.
Yeah.
And that is the great, balance.
Yeah, and it's not to say that I haven't had people come by my table and not like my art. Like, I do a lot of, like, One Direction still, Taylor Swift. There's lots of people, especially at Comic-Cons, who don't like them. And you just kind of have to have a thick skin and be like, well, then it's not for you.
Yeah. Carry on. Yeah, off you go.
Yeah.
I think, though, when we're talking about being afraid to share the work, with what do you call it, QA testing?
QA testing,
so
yeah.
For those who don't know the jargon, what does that mean?
Oh, quality assurance. So basically you write some software. You, as the developer, the person who's actually written the code to make it work and show up as a website, then you send it to this quality assurance team who their whole job is to try to break it.
Right.
So they run through all these test scenarios to make sure, okay, well, when I put this in this text box, it doesn't work. It breaks the whole thing. That's a bug.
Right.
So, and then you assign and decide which bugs you're okay with and which ones you're not and you need to fix.
So the way I think about it sometimes is that people, they put all this energy and time and love and attention into the thing they've made. But you do that so privately. You do that work so personally. And there can be a buildup of, well, I like it, but what if no one else likes it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you put it out and no one else likes it, that's a fall, right? You're going to fall hard.
Yeah.
But sometimes when people are afraid of falling, there's an old expression that, like, to avoid the fall, some people jump, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that to be afraid of receiving that negative criticism, especially from a place of professionalism, someone might say, like, oh, it's actually bad. They'd rather jump right into the market without it in the hopes that it's good. Like, there's a hope that you'll land on your feet if you jump, right? And you're avoiding the fall by jumping. And it took me a while to learn how important that step of a substantive edit, a good letterer, taking a little bit of time to let it percolate and then show it to some trusted people, and then show it to some people you don't trust before you, just so that there's an unfiltered, unbiased QA going on.
Part of being
Right.
like professionalism and our professional growth, right? You get more comfortable with like
telling you suck.
vetting your
Yeah.
idea, and you can take that criticism. And I think we've mentioned it on the podcast before. It gets easier the more things you do, right? You're less precious with every project because you have a bit of a portfolio, right?
Yeah.
When it's your first book, it's especially hard to do that. So I think that's great that you actually went through those steps with your very first book, because I think most people don't on their first one. They just do it themselves. They don't get an editor. They don't get anybody else to look it over. They just make it.
Oh, I felt I needed to, I don't know, just part of the process.
Yeah.
It's what I'm used to.
Well, I think it's
So,
something
yeah.
great that you grab from your job, and that's why, like, a lot of time when people ask about illustration, I turn them towards graphic design as a place to start, because that's where I got a lot of present your project to the class and then sit there as they tear it to shreds and then
And
come back again, right?
By the way, before I forget, Jamie says hi from Complex. He says,
Really?
Yes.
Hey, Jamie from Complex.
Yeah, I ran into him in line. He was whispering to somebody about some stuff that I thought might be industrial design, and because they were talking in low tones, of course, I listened more closely. And then he mentioned, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're designers, and they're talking about, and he's like, oh, but they're talking about Maya. Oh, no, I don't know if that's it, right? Oh, maybe they're like game designers somehow. And then they mentioned a Warhammer thing, and I was like, oh, well, they work at Complex. So,
Yeah.
okay, for sure. So I interceded, and I said, hey, and so it was Jamie, and he said,
Hey, he's great.
He had very many nice things to say about you. So our old lives, our work lives, right? They really do affect how we put our projects together. But it's not because they're our jobs, I think. It's because that's who we are. That's why we sought those jobs in the first place. Your tendency
Not
towards
sought them, but survived them, went
Survived
through
them.
them. Like, pull something out of that like horrible experience and apply it to what you're doing now to make it better, to improve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I know your origin story. So like graphic design is the closest thing to drawing that you could find
Yes.
that other people would accept as being a job. Right. And so you find that thing and you kind of cling to the good parts inside of
Yeah.
it. But so you didn't like just get the job. You had to be you and then survive,
And then
right?
survive.
So this is where we are. But it doesn't sound so much like that IT is like a grind for you. Like your eyes light up a little bit as you discuss this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't enjoy programming, which is why I didn't stick with that part of it. But I mean, I was very organized and very much like, okay, this is what we need to do in the project. And even when I was a developer, you know, knowing, okay, what's the next step? What do I have to do? Oh, this thing, you know, it expires on this day. So I'll go remind the team lead of this. And then you just naturally become a project manager because you're sort of already doing it, or at least I was. Yeah, so those were the parts of it that I enjoyed.
So I alluded to this earlier because it was just minutes before that I found out. But Samantha Biko is working with you on the next
on my
of
next
this.
project. Yeah.
And all of those qualities that you possess, she must love in you, because I know I possess very few of them, and they were always sources of consternation.
She has to be that
She
for
has to
you
be that
when
for
you
me.
work in those projects.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm pretty quick to respond to her emails, I think. And we've only had our first meeting before we did the contract and everything. But, you know, I had a lot of notes and I came to the table with everything I wanted to talk with her about. And it was a pretty seamless meeting. So she and I are very similar. I've known her for some time.
You've known her for a while.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I was wondering if her poker face broke. She's a very good business acumen, but I wonder when you mentioned that it's Sailor Moon oriented, if she just broke and was like, "Oh my God, yes, that's amazing."
Oh, well, my next project is not Sailor Moon oriented.
Oh, no,
But
okay.
she and I have certainly chatted about Sailor Moon. Like
Yeah.
I said, I've known her for a while. But she's great. Like,
Can you
I'm
talk
very
about your
excited.
next thing?
Whoa, hold on.
I can.
Hold on, host.
I'll back away. I'm over here. Justin's in charge now.
One last part of the process, your digital process on finishing this up.
Yes.
You talked about scripting and storyboarding and getting critique. Now you're ready to actually paint the pages. What program are you doing that in? How are you making that
Yep.
the final version?
I did it all on my iPad on Procreate.
On Procreate?
Yeah.
Okay, fan of
Yeah.
Procreate. And then you got your print files ready. And I
Yep.
saw this was printed at Mixum,
Yep.
which we've gushed about on the
Yeah.
podcast
I'm
before.
pretty sure that you guys are the ones who introduced me to the idea of them.
They're especially good on short runs, right? Like especially when it's your first book, you don't know how it's going to go. You don't want to print thousands
Yeah,
necessarily.
they're not always the best on price, but they're the best on short run quality and delivery. And if something's wrong, that's the other
Right.
thing. Like sometimes you can get a really good price, but then if something's wrong, you'll never hear from that printer again, and they don't care, or you just reprint it and fix it. They've replaced, like I've got a box of stuff that showed up and they were all dinged, and I was like, hey, they're all dinged. They're like, no problem, another box is on its way. So
Okay.
that was
They were great. It was
Great
a
to work
very easy process. Just upload a PDF of the pages and make sure that it was all good, and going through their whole their print process. Their website was really easy to use, and I mean, as an IT professional, I was like, oh, their website, that's the best
user
one.
interface.
So
Isn't it
easy.
good? I know it. So Donovan, I know you're listening. Donovan is our rep at Friesens book printing, and we love Friesens. And for our big runs, we go with Friesens. And every time I talk to Donovan, I mention, get your people to look at the Mixum interface. This is how I want to upload my books to all printers forever. So
It was so easy.
yeah.
It was so easy. Yeah. Yeah, I did look at Friesens, but I mean, yeah, like you said, they're better for a bigger run.
Yeah,
And I only
if you're doing
did
over
100
1,000,
copies, so
I would go with Friesens
no.
in a heartbeat.
Right.
If you're doing under 1,000s, then there's
Yep.
lots of different. And
I
you,
just did 100
yeah.
just to see how it hits.
Oh, by the way, I bumped into Umino earlier, and he said you got your test back already.
What?
He said he got a 95 on his.
Oh, really? Good for him. Darn you, Umino. I'm so gonna get you for this. Ooh.
Okay, so all this to lead to your launch.
Yeah.
What happens now? You have the book. Have you done anything with it? Is this like the first kind of announcement of it on the podcast?
Kind
here?
of.
Yeah.
Well, I put a thing on Instagram as well. I did a little reel on Instagram. I'm going to have it at my icon table.
Do you have a display for it at the
A little
icon?
bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, a little display just with the book and then some images from the book around it to show it
Perfect.
off. And then, I did a little, because I do so many enamel pins, I did an enamel pin of the little Tomodachi is the name of it.
Amazing.
Yeah, of the little familiar character.
And is that like
to
a
go with it.
bundle? You can get the book and the pin?
Yeah,
for-
I'm just gonna sell the book and the pin together at
Perfect.
the yeah. So
I will also give you a wish I'd known it when I started hint about a new book.
Mm.
You know, if you're known for one thing, you're trying to do another thing. And readers can become very loyal and very supportive. But it can be hard to find readers or for a person even to take a risk on a book that they haven't heard of.
Yeah.
So if you have some people who really like your stuff and you have somewhere in your pricing scheme a price point where it'd be worth it for you to reward that person who maybe wasn't even looking at the book, to just say, thanks for spending X dollars. I just made this new graphic novel. This is my gift to you, right? Build it into your price point, right? So like don't
lose any
don't
money.
throw good money after bad.
Yeah.
But rewarding a loyal customer or a regular or a person who spends a certain amount of money with really just reducing your own margin a little bit so that you can introduce them to this new thing you're really excited about can be such a personally gratifying moment because it feels like an actual thank you. So I will provide that to you.
I appreciate that. That's a good
Right?
idea. Yeah.
And then if they are your regulars and they do like it, well, that's that much the better because you're doing another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. I appreciate the tip.
I learned that on the streets. That's the drug dealer model, right? First one's free, but remember where you got it.
Yeah, other book tips. Handing people the book to look through is a big one.
Yes.
At conventions, people aren't certain about what they're allowed to pick up and look through and blah, blah, blah. So I find, like, especially with books, if I'm not over there, people will ask if they can pick it up before they do. So it's always great to, like, hand it to them to look through. And then we've talked about this on the podcast a couple times before about how it's almost a little frustrating how a book is a harder sell than a print. Because a print, you immediately know, I like that,
or
I want that on my wall.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that. But a book, there's all these questions about if I'm going to like it, if I'm even going to read it, blah, 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 blah. So it's those books are a little bit harder to move at certain conventions versus others.
Yeah.
So handing it to people.
Yeah, and trying different ones. The other reason why I find handing a book to someone or suggesting, just letting them know, yes, you can pick that up, is that the comics people, the speculator market is so caught up right now in the idea of a gradable book, a book that is undamaged, a book that is unbrowsed, a book that is unread. And so there is, if a person is one of those collectors, they don't want to assume that they can touch it because just picking it up can change the grade.
Right.
Having sample copy written on it definitely helps people know this is and even too, like, the quality is going to be less on this because it's the one that's flipped through. And
that's right.
Yeah.
I like pointing out that's not the one you'd get. I have fresh ones in the back, right?
Yeah, I usually say I have a stack of books unsullied by human hands that I will give you, right?
Yeah, I have a little like a mini easel that I'm gonna have it on and put like sample on it. They can touch it.
So
yeah.
Other than that, really the people will sort it out. That's the best part and the hardest part about making a book of any sort is that once you've made it, almost nothing else is up to you.
Yeah.
You know, everything is up to them, and the only last finger you can put on the scale, you know, to tip it in your favor is to get someone to open it and look at it, right? Because if they kind of like the cover and then they really do like the inside, then you're off to the races. That's the last objection you can.
Oh, and having that elevator pitch, which you've got nailed.
You got
right?
it nailed, yeah.
Sailor Moon meets Five Ever, right?
Yep.
Like if those two things click, and they like those,
Yeah. I knew that was an important piece of it. So as
I
I was drawing it, I was thinking, okay, how am I gonna eventually? What's the next step? Right? Always one step ahead. That's project management for you.
Yeah.
Now, what part of it for you was the hardest?
Forcing myself to sit down and draw it. Because, like I said, I work a day job, so at the end of the day, I'm very tired. I also have a 4-year-old.
Wow.
So I'm very tired all the time.
God. Kind of bearing the lead on your responsibilities at home there. That's amazing.
It's a lot. Yeah. So it's basically, you work full time all day.
Oh no, and they can walk and talk.
They can, and he's got a lot of opinions.
Demands and opinions.
Make demands.
Yep. So, it's work, then get supper ready, any activities in the evening he's got, and we eat supper, and then my husband's great, he puts our son to bed, and then I would just scurry down to the basement and draw until I don't know, 9:30, 10 p.m.
Yeah, I was going to
go
ask,
bed
is a
anyway.
schedule like you
Oh
keep
yeah,
a schedule?
yeah. It was very important to me to follow a schedule, and I even had like a little grid that I printed out with all the page numbers on it. And every time I finished one, I got to color it in, and just
Like that, yeah.
reward
tangible
myself.
reward.
Yep. Or I would actually, because I love your guys' podcast, I went through the back catalog and I told myself I'm only allowed to listen to them while I'm working on my comic
Oh
book.
my goodness. Aw.
I know.
I'm not crying, you're crying. That's, honestly, that's all we've ever wanted is the idea that it would help somebody give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It was great. It was very helpful. Of course, then I reached the end of the run and I was like, well, now what do I?
Well, you might as well come on. Well, that's
yeah,
that's how you come
here.
That's how you reach the magical girl status, right? Like now you've gone through all of the mundane world, right?
Yeah.
And now you have to become a part of the magical world.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I did.
Is it going to be strange to you to listen to yourself while you're drawing?
Yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to listen to this one that I'm on.
You know what? I think you should. I think you should say something to yourself.
Say something.
Yeah,
well,
we often address the dear listener, but
the
in this
dear
case, you
listener,
can
that's
address
me.
yourself
Yeah.
directly for the thing you think you might need to hear a week from now.
A week from now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 2
Maybe
weeks.
2 weeks from now, says
now?
producer Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Steph, you did it. You slogged through 52 pages. You did it. So turn this episode on when you're working on the next project with Sam and you don't think you can do it because you did the other one.
That's awesome. I'm not crying. You're crying. Okay, so now let's talk. Since we got through the warm feelings part of the show, and we touch a little bit on the hard part, let's talk now about. I've got 100 copies of something.
Yep.
I go to a show. Let's play multiverse here. The show went well. What will we do next? The show went, to your mind, badly for the thing. What do you do next? Let's first establish the parameters of what success looks like to you with this project. Let's determine that.
I would like to sell a couple of them at Icon.
Okay, so
I'd like to sell 2.
This is literally it. You're just like, as long as 2 people want it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to do great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope so.
You're going to do great. Yes, it's true.
Don't just bring 2 though. Bring a big pile.
Yes. Well, it's a local show, so
Yes,
it's either they're
exactly.
already packed
Perfect.
up. They're in a suitcase at my parents' house.
Perfect. So
There
bring
you go.
all of them.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. And once you sell 2, if 2 is if 100 was your limit, I'd say the same thing with you sold the 100th. If you sell the second one, how are you going to thank that person for helping you achieve the thing you wanted most from that?
I don't.
Right.
Say thank you. I don't know.
Right. You should.
I just thank them.
I think you should let them know that it's not just another purchase, right?
Yeah.
We get into this like consumer frenzy, particularly at Comic Cons. I
Yeah.
feel there can be like a whole like, oh my god, another thing in the bag, and I think it can be really important to, especially if it's personal and new and fresh, and to thank that person for the milestone.
It's her! Sailor Moon!
First time I did that was probably I had set a goal for myself that I would sell 500 copies of the Imagination Manifesto hardcover book. And I had printed, I think, 3,000 of them. So like it was it's like if I can do that, I'll be able to ameliorate the costs enough that it's not the hugest financial failure and then a burden to everybody. And I remember that when that person bought that 500th copy, they were at, I think we might have been in Calgary. It was probably in Calgary.
Probably.
And I realized it when I took the box. I went to open the next box. That as I cracked the box, I had marked the last box as this is the one. Like if this box is empty, you did it.
Yeah.
And it kind of almost passed the moment. And so I shouted at the person as they were walking away. I was like, come back, come back, come back. And they thought they had left their wallet or maybe they had done something or they had taken something they couldn't. And I remember they came back and we were both like deer in the headlights because I wanted to commemorate the moment, like ceremonialize it somehow. But I had
just
nothing.
wanted to get out of there.
And they just wanted to get away from the psychopath who was just like, and I was like, I just wanted to say like, thanks. And they're like, okay. I'm like, no, really, like really thanks. And
That's
like,
what the money's for.
yeah. as Linda would say. He's like, yeah, thanks. And they just scurried away. And I think about that sometimes as like a great like failure. So solve it. Help me live vicariously through your success in meeting that milestone.
Okay.
That second person picks up a book and says, yeah, I'll take this. Don't be weird like I was weird, but thanks.
It's hard not for me to be weird.
Oh, I don't know. I think you acquit yourself quite well.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And I mean, part of me wanting to do this, like have it at Icon as the first con, is because like that's my home con. I'm comfortable there. I've been going to Icon forever since the first one. So yeah, what better place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're self-publishing this book, so
Uh-huh.
you built it, you printed it.
Yeah.
It's up to you to sell it.
Yeah.
Is there plans to approach publishers, local or international, or
I don't think so. This one was more of a let me see if I can actually do this.
And have you been bitten by the book bug now? Like you want to make more books?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Now. yeah. Because now I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna do this 300-page other thing with Sam. Like, why? Why would I do this to myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Okay, so multiversing. So it's a good show. You sold 2, then you sold 4, and then you sold 6. And maybe you sold 10, and now you feel like, okay, people like what I'm doing, and you have a few left. What are you going to do with the rest of that print run? This is a leading question. At what point would you make the decision to say, oh, I should print another 100?
I would say if it's going well, and if by the end of the rest of the shows I have booked, which is this one, I'm going to Toronto for Pretty Heroes, which is a magical girl convention.
What?
Come on.
So,
Print an extra 100 right now.
There you go.
Yeah. And so at the end of Icon, that show, and then I'm doing Winnipeg Comic Con. Oh, and I'm doing, of course, Prairie Comics Festival in October. If I'm down...
Regina?
Here.
No,
Prairie
but
Comics.
like last you said.
Oh, I'm not
last
going to
year
do
you
Regina
didn't
this
do-
year.
okay.
No. Doing those 4. So if at the end of those 4, if I'm down to like 25 left, then I'll do another run.
Amazing.
That's my
Fantastic.
plan. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll also say this to the dear listener, that there was a time where it was really difficult to print a short run and then get the next printing to be identical. Like it would really show. And one of the reasons why book editions had editions is that the print quality would vary. And so it was very clear that there was a volume 1 and a volume 2 of these printed as first and second edition. Also, there's the legal reasons. If you're putting it in, putting a ISBN to it, you have to list how many copies were printed and that. But when you're doing zines, the fact that we can have printing at the quality that we have now, and we got one, dear listener, the quality that we have now, you'll be able to match it. So there'll be no loss in that. It's basically, you can think of it as your extra copies are just stored somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Other people get a certain cost per unit, and then they have to store their, if you printed 1,000 and you paid X dollars, then you've stored them somewhere.
Yeah.
In this case, you're paying X dollars, and the rest of them are just not yet printed. And it doesn't have to run out. If you're doing it at the zine level, you can keep printing 100 forever. You never have to put an edition. You never have to list it. There's no ISBN on here.
Well, there is ISBN.
Did you
I
list
did.
it?
I did. It's in the back.
Talk about it. You registered your
I
first
did.
international book number.
I did. So I have to give them.
Ottawa
to them.
needs
Yeah.
2 We've
Yeah.
met.
Oh, that's so exciting. We met the woman
We met
who's
the
going to
woman.
love
Oh,
this
really?
book.
Really? That's
Oh.
awesome. Yep. I figured go big or go home.
Yeah, we were at the Ottawa
show.
Yeah.
And the archivist that knew that Justin hadn't sent something.
You don't. Yeah, she got a little uppity that I hadn't sent this one in yet.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if uppity so much as like authoritative. Right?
I didn't know
Her
who she
job.
was at first, so I was
Right.
like, "What is this?" And-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, dear listener, our National Archive, if you register your book number, then the National Archive expects a copy, and it goes literally
Into
in a
a
nuke-proof bunker as part of like the Canadian heritage.
I want to
treasure.
tour that facility.
This
That has
book
to be.
is now a Canadian treasure,
Right?
right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right? That's so cool. That's exciting. I thought that was going to be the next one. Where are we?
Yeah.
Grab it up. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, Before we can wrap it up, we have to go down the darkest timeline.
Okay.
Nobody even picks up the book. Nobody even looks at it. And you're like, hey, I got a graphic novel. And they're like, yeah, I don't read.
Yep.
I just want some pins, lady.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will be happy that I got into Icon this year.
Yes.
Because it was difficult. And I will be happy that I still have fans of my pins, because I have had a couple people message me and ask me if I'm going to be at Icon because they love pins. Feeling. So it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So I will be happy that I have that. And I'll keep trying, because I still have the books, and I still have 3 other shows this year booked, and Calgary re-up for next year. So, I mean,
You've got other opportunities.
I have other opportunities. So it will be okay.
I want to point out a couple things with like the expectations of something new on the table that I've noticed over the last 10 plus years is sometimes it takes a show or two to catch on. It's weird, but I'll bring out something new that I'm really proud of, really excited about. And that first show, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's my placement, I don't know if it's like my energy about it, but nobody likes it that first show. But then the second and third show, it starts picking up like wildfire. And I don't know why, but it's something I've noticed. And the other thing is too, different shows are after different things, right? We have the anime convention coming up.
Yep.
Books might not be on the top of everybody's list, right? Like maybe they're into action figures, maybe they want plushies. Like different crowds are into different things. So if your product doesn't do well at one show, don't write it off and don't think you know how it's going to do until you've done at least like 2 or 3 shows with it, because you need to see what 2 or 3 crowds think of it.
Yeah.
Because that's happened often as well. I bring something out and it does amazing at the show, and then the next show nobody cares, and I realize like that city loved books and this city seems to not want any books. Like it's nothing changed. The table didn't change, the product didn't change, the crowd changed. And so I've learned to kind of like temper my expectations about new things or things I'm excited about, because there's a lot of variables other than you and your product.
That's good to know. Thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're already doing everything right in that you have a number of shows lined up.
Yes.
And so your expectation, you can divide across them.
Yes.
You have the perfect target market show, it sounds like, a Magical
Yeah, I was
Girl
very
convention.
excited to get into that one.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's perfect, right? Anyone who wants to hold a vampire convention, please reach out to me. I have so much vampire
There must
content.
be. You're just
I'm
not.
sure there is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk more about it, Dan. I know. But we're proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right? You did a great thing here.
Thank you.
And I hope it meets your expectations. So, dear listener, we know 2 is too low of an expectation. Right? I hope it meets your expectations. And I wish you all the best of luck with I Used to Be a Magical Girl.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Dear listener, this has been Super Pulp Science. This is Gregory Komichuk encouraging you to join the fight and make comics.